Hey guys, welcome back. So I'm really excited to film this video because on Saturday the 1st of December marked a year of Fearlessly Faithful, which I'm really excited about. It's quite wild. The year has really gone by quickly, and it's just wild to think that this time last year I was like nervous. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna put out a video. I was scared to put out a video this time last year, but by God's grace and His mercy, here I am. And it's just been great. I just thank all of you guys for your constant support. Thank all of you guys for your words of encouragement, for just the love that you guys have shown. It's honestly been so appreciated, and it's helped me to continue and to be here today. And yeah, I'm just really grateful. Like, happy birthday, Fearlessly Faithful. Woo. So in the last 12 months, I have definitely learned a lot. I've learned so much about myself, so much about my walk with God, so much about my interactions with other people. So I thought that, seeing as we're 12 months on, a year on, it'd be really just good to share with you guys what I've learned over the past year. So I've got 12 points actually about what it is that God has taught me, and just the things I've learned in life over this past year. So let's get into this. It's also important to just say that some of these points, I may have made videos about them before, or I may make videos elaborate, like going deeper into them in the future. But essentially that's just because over these past 12 months, when God has taught me something, when I've gone through a life lesson, that it's been those instances that have prompted me to make videos. So if you're like, oh, I've heard this before, it's because it's in a previous video. If you haven't heard this before, the points where there is a video that relates to it, I'm gonna put like a card at the top of the video just so you can go click that and see what I was talking about at that time. Okay, so the first thing that I've learned over this year is that it is not about me. And I've said it quite a few times in my videos, but it's just because it is so true. Nothing that I do in my life is about me, essentially. Everything that I do is for the glory of God. And over the past 12 months, I've just learned that so much in terms of doing this channel. Like I said in like my first few videos, it was never anything that I personally wanted to do, but it was something that God was prompting me to do. And over like the past 12 months, there's been times where I've just questioned it, like, why am I doing this? Should I still continue to do this? But every time I remember that it's not about me, it's about God, and it's about seeing His kingdom advanced, and it's all about His glory, then that's what keeps me going. And just generally, in terms of like life, just how I prioritize my time, how I spend my time, giving my time to others, giving of finances, just being an all-round like generous person. These are things that I've cultivated over this year, and I've been able to do it with the knowledge that it's not about me. So that's definitely the first thing that God was teaching me over this year. So another thing that God has taught me is to be vulnerable with Him. And it's funny because I always thought that I'm quite an open person, but what I realized is that I'm very open with my friends, people close to me, but I didn't have that same openness with God. So let's say I'm going through something, there's something that's really heavy on my heart, or something that I'm just like really struggling to deal with. I'm not a closed off person in that no one around me knows. I have people around me that I can seek godly counsel from, and that I know that they'll like steer me in the right direction or give me words of encouragement that come directly from the Bible. And I was okay to like share what I was feeling or going through, or my frustrations with them. But it's like I realized that I wasn't actually that good with sharing it with God, because I'd pray And I think my prayer was always one of those ones where it's like, God, you know what's on my heart, you know the things that like I'm struggling with, etc. But I never ever like spoke to God and went into the depths of what was on my heart. I never actually expressed like the raw feelings and emotions, which in hindsight is just ridiculous because obviously God knows those, but he just wants wanted me to just share it with him, wanted me to, because there's so much power in declaring things. So when I started to learn to say to God, like the Bible says that so many people that they cried out to God, and I can imagine that their cries were like honest, they were just raw, they were real. This is what I'm going through, this is what I'm struggling with, Lord help me. So it was just something that God wanted me to learn, like that I needed to start being vulnerable with him. I needed to start making that which I was feeling on my heart clear. Like although he already knows, it's just there's so much power in speaking to God. So that was definitely another thing that God taught me, just to be vulnerable and to be open with him. And I guess, so the third thing which links to the point about vulnerability is just, I learned the importance of spending time with God. And it's something that I feel like I can say every year that I've learned, but it's like with this year, there was just so much, I just felt like I needed to go deeper with God. I needed to spend more time with God. I needed to spend more time in his word, and I needed just to spend more time like in quietness and stillness, because at the beginning of the year, we do it at the beginning of every year, we have a 21-day fast, and what the Lord was telling me in those 21 days was to just like to find him and to just hear him in quiet, because I was always someone that I felt like there needed to be worship music in the background, or I'm the type of person where I can't sit in a room in quiet. I always need, like, if I'm even when I'm watching TV or something, I'll always be playing a game on my phone, or just the idea of just sitting in silence doesn't really bode well with me. But it was like God was just teaching me that, you know what, you need to learn to just come into my presence and be still in my presence, and let me and hear me when I'm whispering things to you, because at the end of the day, he's not always going to come and shout. He's not always going to come like with a booming voice. Sometimes it's like the still quiet voice of God that I needed to learn how to hear from. So it was just that was something that I definitely learned to do, just to devote time to just be still, whether that was in my room in the morning, whether that was in the car on the way to work, where sometimes I automatically just go to turn on my playlist and listen to worship music, but sometimes God would just be like, nah, we're just gonna go on this car journey in silence so that you can hear what it is that I have to say to you. So that was definitely something that God was working on, and that I had to cultivate, and it's really been helpful, because I feel as though this year more than ever I've heard God speak more. Like, so I'm appreciative of that lesson, just to be still in God's presence. So another lesson that I've learned is all about prioritization. So it's just all to do with where you place particular things in your life, because I was definitely someone in the past, I would find an excuse for everything. I would find an excuse why I can't do my devotional. I'd find an excuse as to why I can't go to the gym. I'd find an excuse as to why I can't do my meal prep, why I can't spend time with people. Like, I always just had an excuse for anything. But then it was like God was just saying to me, if you really want something, you will find the time. And over these past 12 months, I've definitely learned that. Where it's like there's so many hours in a day, and I just had to learn to prioritize my time. If that meant that it completely shifted my day around, if it was like, for instance, in the summer, I can wake up so early. Like, I wake up with the sunrise. If the sun rises at 5 a.m, I'm up at 5 a.m. So that means that my day can just start earlier, and things like I can go to the gym, I can do my devotional, I can get like most things done before 9 a.m, calm. But then it was like, now when winter comes around, sun doesn't rise till God knows what time. And then it's like all the practices I had in summer, and like the breeze of life, and like, yeah, I can do this, I got this, it like goes out the window because there's no sun anymore. But it was like God was just teaching me, you have to learn to prioritize life. So like, you have to learn to just shift things around. So it meant that certain things I used to do in the morning, I'd now do in the evening. But so long as my devotional time, for instance, was there. It's just making time and learning to not put God on the back burner just because of the season. Like, God should always be number one regardless of the season. If it's summer, winter, autumn, spring, that he is always number one, and then everything else just has to shift in order to keep him there. Because sometimes you'll find that in the bid to like keep doing other things, for instance, with myself, like I was always just like, yeah, do you know what, yeah, like I'm going to the gym more and I want to keep this up, so I'm gonna still try to go to the gym in the morning. But then it meant I was waking up late, and it meant that I was rushing to do my devotional. So it was kind of like, you know what, let me try to move gym maybe later in the day, or let me go less, if that just means that I can devote that time in the morning to God. So definitely prioritization was a big thing for this year. So another important lesson that I definitely learned, and it's really a hard lesson, but it's that it's important to let things go. And it's definitely a case whereby I think, myself anyways, I hold on to things that are comfortable. So if I can't see how, if I let go of this situation, how things are going to pan out, I'd rather just keep hold of it. But it was like God was really telling me, especially at like the end of this year, and it links with the vulnerability thing, where it was like when I was open, when I was raw with God about my feelings, then he was able to speak like into those situations particularly. And with certain things in my life, God was just like, you know what, you need to let it go, you need to let it go. And it's all to do with faith, and it's all to do with trusting in God, that you may let go, but it doesn't mean that you're just going to end up in a ditch somewhere. God is going to place you where he intended for you. Like, if you believe that God is a God he makes your lines fall in pleasant places, then sometimes you just need to be open with God, be honest with God. If there's things that you're struggling with, or like there's just things in your life that you're holding on to, but you know that they're not good for you, then it's like speaking to God and letting him help you with that process of letting go. So that was something that was majorly important to me, where it's just like, you know what, as much as this thing is so comforting to me, and as much as like I'm just so comfortable and I'm in my comfort zone, and I just know, like, whether it was good or whether it was bad, it was just like the knowing of what it came with. God was just like, you know what, you need to get rid of that thinking, get rid of that way of life, and just let it go and just trust me. So definitely letting go of things, even though they're comfortable, was another thing that God taught me. So I think this is point 6. So the 6th thing that God taught me was to invest in the next generation, because it's been something that my church has been doing. They've done a phenomenal job of it, where it's like they've given so much, they've just given so much investment and time and like room for the next generation to flourish and the next generation to take opportunities. And I think it was just something that God was just like to me, you need to do that as well. Although you are the next generation and people are investing in you, there's another generation coming up behind you, and I want you to pour into them. Because for me, I think the reason I am the way I am today, and the reason I have a relationship with God the way that I do, is because when I was growing up, when I was 13, 14, 15, 16, there were people around me who were pouring into me, people around me who were making sure that I was on the right path. There were people around me who were giving me opportunities, who were just making sure that I stayed on the straight and narrow. And looking back, like in hindsight, looking back up, I don't think I really appreciated how much time and investment they were putting into me, because it didn't seem like that. They never made it seem as though it was a big deal that they were spending time with me, or that they were just sitting down and hearing what I had to say. So it's definitely been something where God is just like, I want you to do the same to those coming after you. So it's something that I've just had to learn, and it goes with the whole "it's not about you" point, where although there's times where I've been tired, although there's times where it's like I've been working and I just want to go home and sleep, when someone calls, when someone texts me and they're just like, Dipsy, I want to meet up, Dipsy, is it cool if I come? Like, the answer just for this year, that the answer had to be yes, because there was so much I know that God was wanting to do in me in order to help those that are coming after me. So I just had to learn to say yes. And honestly, it's been the most gratifying experience, just being around young people. I'm a youth leader, so that means that I'm around them anyways. But it's just like there's things, opportunities that God gave me. Like, I'm now mentoring in a school, and it's just, there is so much joy that I get out of it. But just seeing them grow, them mature, and how much they appreciate it, I would encourage you guys that if there is any way that you guys can help people, if there's any way that you guys can pour into people spiritually, just be a listening ear for for a young girl, for a young guy. Maybe it's someone, it might not even be someone that's like age-wise that they're younger than you. It may just be someone who spiritually is younger than you. Maybe they're very new to the faith and they just need that person that's just going along them, just going beside them, just hearing them out. The importance of that is just unreal. So I encourage you guys just to, like, as much as you can, find time to invest in the next generation and invest in people around you who can just benefit from all that God has taught you and the experiences that God has let you go through. So that's that point. Point 7 is God has really, really taught me the importance of being a peacemaker. Just because when you have a relationship with God, when you are close to God, and especially if you have a group of people who are all just striving and wanting to see God's kingdom advance, in the midst of that, the enemy hates that, and he will try to cause discord, and he will try to cause arguments, and he will try to, like, come in to where he sees a crack, just so that he can, like, try to split people apart. But what I've learned over this year is just the importance of making peace. I'm not, I still struggle with being quite stubborn, but I know it's something that I'm praying to God about, and God is working on me. But it's like, in the past, my stubbornness just meant that I didn't like to, it's not even that I didn't like to say sorry. I didn't like the idea that when I say sorry, someone's going to be like to me, yeah, don't do that again. That was like what I really struggled with. But it was like God was just teaching me to be humble, to just humble myself, and to just learn to say sorry, and to hear people out when they say things like, you know, don't do that again, this is why you shouldn't have done that, or I didn't appreciate that, to stop taking it as such a negative, but to hear what they're saying, to hear their pain maybe, and just to learn for future. Because there's been many things where I've said things to people, and I've said it with no malicious intent whatsoever, with no desire to cause pain or no desire to cause upset, but they've taken it badly. And in the past, it was just a case of, well, you need to learn to take things better. But what God has really taught me is that, do you know what? Hear what they're saying so that you don't make that mistake, or you don't cause upsets to someone else, and just learn from it, and just be humble about it also. Because when an enemy sees something like that, then it's like, yeah, I can attack, and then you don't realize what it's causing. You don't realize, like, the rifts that it's causing, and how when you're at war with someone, then it's not advancing the kingdom. You can't glorify God when you're not at peace with someone. So a massive thing for me is be a peacemaker, and just learn to say sorry. Just learn to humble yourself, and just be quick, and also be quick to say sorry. Don't hold grudges. Just say sorry. So the 8th thing that God has taught me, the lesson I've learned, is to just be persistent and to focus on kingdom success. So it's something that this channel has taught me. Starting this channel definitely taught me about persistence, because there are so many times where it's just like, I can't be bothered. It's not worth it. Is there any point? But it was like God just kept going on at me, and it was just like God was just teaching me the difference between worldly success and kingdom success. And it's like, so long as what I'm doing is in line with what he has called me to, and is in line with his will, and is in line with his word, then it's successful. So whether my channel looks successful in the sight, like in the eyes of the world, so long as it is advancing the kingdom, it's helping people, and it's in alignment with what God has called me to, then there's success in it. So it's something that I've had to just learn. I've had to stop, like, especially with a YouTube channel. I'm sure there's other people who have started YouTube channels would completely understand. Like, when you start a channel, your views are like up here, and then over time, well, it's different for different people, but I feel like, especially in like the Christian scene, over time the numbers just drop, and then they drop, and then they drop, and then they're like stagnant. They go stagnant for a bit, but it's, and naturally you can be like, this isn't what is supposed to be happening. Like, I'm serving God, therefore it should have gone like this. But what God was just really saying was like, that's not how I work in my kingdom. And just be persistent, keep on at it, and let my glory shine through it also. I've just learned that, which is why, I mean, ideally I would love to say, oh look, it's been a year and I've got 52 videos out for every week, but that wasn't the case. But I thank God, because a year later I'm here today, I'm still recording, I'm still sharing the things that God has put on my heart, and I still believe that it is all going to be for His glory and that people will be blessed from it. So definitely be persistent and seek kingdom success rather than worldly success. Okay, so the ninth thing that God has taught me, God has showed me, is that He is a God of surprises. God has really surprised me this whole year, and it's like some surprises have been clearly, they've just been like, oh, wow, that's great, and other surprises have been like, what, God, really? But I've just learned that, you know what, you never know what God's next move is going to be. You can never predict God. You can never like try to decide where He's going to go. But what you find is that it's all for His glory. And there's just been so many things where I'm like, whoa, I never expected that to happen. I really, really never expected things to go the way that they've gone. Like I said in my video when I was talking about my back, when I was talking about me being back and like my faith journey, like I gave you an update, and I was talking about courage, and I was talking about New Day and the opportunities that I had there, and it was just like, I never ever expected that. And I don't even think that I never ever expected it. I just never expected it to happen when it happened. So for that, I give God glory, and I'm just ready for whatever else He's gonna surprise me with. Because again, like, I guess in addition to this, I've learned to be constantly expectant, and I'm expecting for God to surprise me, and I'm expecting God to perform miracles, because at the end of the day, He's a miracle worker. The Bible shows the miracles. We're told to be expectant, so I'm ready. You know, God crowns the year with His goodness, so I can't, like I said, like my video a year ago, I can't wait to see what God is going to do in the last few days of this year, because God is just, yeah, He loves a surprise, so I'm ready. Okay, so the 10th thing that God taught me, again, to do with this channel, was that it's okay to pause, but don't stop, don't give up. So it's like, you know how I said again, like I had like a 4-month break, there was just no videos. And it's like the only reason I was able to come back was through trusting God and through speaking to people as well. So it's like when I had that moment of, I don't know what I'm going to do anymore, I don't know what to say, don't know what videos to produce, should I even still be putting videos out? A really important factor, and like what played a part in me coming back, was speaking to God, praying about it, but talking to other people about it, and not feeling like I'd failed, just being open and letting people speak into my situation. And it's being open to receiving criticism as well. And it's just like the moment that I realized that God has put people around me who care about me and who love me and who want to see me win, then hearing them say what I could do better, or have you tried this, or have you tried that, and then just constantly talking to them so that it's constantly on my mind and it's constantly on their mind, and just it's being accountable to someone. So it's like I feel like when I took that break, I needed that break, and I needed to pause, and I needed to regroup, and I needed to hear what is God saying to me, like what's the word that He's given me for this season. I wanted a fresh word, I wanted the word in season to be able to come back and record. But so I'd encourage you guys that it's okay to pause. It's okay to sometimes just step back and figure out, is this the direction I want to go in? Am I still on path with God? Am I still in alignment with God? But don't stop, don't leave things, don't just set it aside and never come back to it. If you're feeling like that's the direction you're going in, speak to someone, get someone to pray for you, get someone to pray with you, and then just seek God and just come back and see what he's going to do for you in that season. So definitely, you can pause but never stop. Okay, the 11th thing has been to set goals. It is so important to set goals. Earlier this year, I did a task with a couple of my friends. It's just the way that I'm like wired, and I just had them write down like all their goals and aspirations, and I did it myself and set like a timeline of like, what do you want to do in the short term, what are goals that you want to achieve in a week, in a month, in 3 months, in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years. And it was like just writing it down. And I think it was the first time I'd ever set my own personal goals. And it was just so important because it was now on paper. Oh, look, this is what I want. This is what I feel like God is putting on my heart. How can I do things to achieve this? And I think writing those goals down meant that I was more proactive with it. And it led me to, apply for particular things, start particular things. And looking back, I can see, wow, God was faithful, and I can tick that off, and I can tick that off, and that's in the works. And it's just been absolutely incredible to see how when you write things down, when you set a list of goals, and importantly, when you give that over to God, how he rewards it. And there's just things that I never thought I'd ever do. And there's certain things I don't think I would have ever done if I didn't write those down. So my encouragement to you guys, if you're feeling as though like you're not making any progress or you want to be doing more, set yourself goals, write it down. And I think it's important to, of course, commit it to God, but then tell someone else about it so that they can, again, take some accountability, so that they can be like to you, how's that going? What progress have you made in this area? What progress have you made in that area? Okay, so the 12th and final thing that I've learned, and this was in the words of my brother, TJ, is that you can't be a pigeon when you're surrounded by eagles. Like, I think it's the best line of 2018, honestly. And he preached on greatness, and he was just talking about kingdom greatness, and he's essentially just saying that when you are surrounded by people who are striving, who are want to seek God's kingdom advance, who are just doing great things, you can't stay in one place. You can't stay stagnant. It's like with eagles, they're just already, when it's time to fly, they fly. But with pigeons, they're just like bobbing around looking for bread. And if you're a pigeon and there's eagles and they all fly, you want to fly too. And honestly, the people in my life, the people God has put around me, family, friends, people in church, I have just seen so much greatness, so much success, so much that it does something to me. And I'm like, I can't just stay here. I can't be content where I am right now when I know that God is calling me to so much more. And it's just been it's been a massive driving force in me doing a lot of things that I've mentioned in this video. And honestly, it is so important to get a good group of people around you, and to also just to support people when they are doing good things, like to get out of that mindset of, oh, woe is me, this person's doing this person's doing that, and I'm just little old me. But to champion people, rejoice when they rejoice, and then just ask people to pray for you, ask people to support your endeavors, and just see how God will reward that heart, that passion that you have to be more, to do more, and to see his kingdom advance. So yeah, like I said, this year, honestly, it's been a roller coaster, but I've loved every second of it. I've said this year has been phenomenal, and that's because God has been such a part of my journey, and that in all things I can just see God, and I can't wait for the next year. Can't wait to see what God is going to do with Fearlessly Faithful in the coming years, in the coming months, in the coming weeks. And again, I just want to say I'm so grateful to everybody that has supported me, everybody that has texted me, everybody that has commented, everybody that has just sent me messages of encouragement, of support. I honestly, it helps me, it keeps me going, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'd so appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, commented, shared, and I can't wait to see you guys again in a video very soon. Take care. God bless. Bye.